Hey guys, it's Miss Johnson and I'm here to bring you our Unit 3 Notes 2, which is on adding and subtracting polynomials. So our learning target for today is I can add and subtract polynomials. So we're going to start with adding polynomials. To add polynomials, we're simply combining like terms. There's no real magic about it. There's nothing really fancy. We're just looking for whatever like terms we have and we're putting them together. Now remember that when we combine like terms, we add the coefficients, but the power stays the same. So we're going to add the coefficients together of the like terms, but the power stays the same. We don't start changing powers until we get into multiplying and dividing. When we're just adding and subtracting, the power does not change. We always want to make sure that we want to write our answer in standard form, starting with that largest exponent and then decreasing from there. So let's take a look at some examples. Number 1, I have all those terms together. 4x to the third plus 8 minus 3x plus 8x squared minus 12 plus 5x plus 3x to the third, blah, blah, blah. Tons of terms. Let's go ahead and look at combining all of these. We need to put like terms together. So I'm going to look for the largest exponent. That's always where I start. And I see that it is this x to the third power. So I'm going to put 4x to the third and 3x to the third together. 4x to the third plus 3x to the third is 7x to the third. Again, I add the coefficients, keep the power the same. Once you're done with it, you can cross it out and move to the next. Next would be the squared term. I have 8x squared, negative 5x squared. 8 minus 5 gives me 3, so plus 3x squared. Again, add them, keep the powers the same, move on to the next. X terms, negative 3x plus 5x is positive 2x. And the last one, 8 minus 12, gives me negative 4. Those are my constants. So I've done the x terms, now I've done the constants. That is my polynomial in standard form. Let's take a look at number 2. In number 2, I want to start with x to the 5th power. That's the largest exponent that I see of all of the terms there. Remember, we talked about yesterday how terms are separated by addition and subtraction. So that's why this is one term, that's one term, that's one term, that's a term, that's a term, that's a term, and that's a term. So I start with x to the 5th. It's by itself, so I'm just going to keep it as 5x to the 5th. I have no x to the 4th, so I go to x to the 3rd. 3x to the 3rd minus 2x to the 3rd. That's going to go away. 3 minus 2 is 1, so plus x to the 3rd. Then negative 2x and negative 4x, they're both negative, so I put them together. Negative 6x. And the last ones are the constants. 4 plus 5 gives me 9. And that is my standard form. Notice that my x to the 4th term is missing and my x to the 2nd term is missing. Well, if we don't have any, you don't have to fill them in. So you just skip it and move on to the next power. Take a look at number 3. If I put number 3 together, I have 3x to the 3rd minus 3x plus 2x squared minus 12 plus 2x to the 3rd minus 6 plus 5x squared. All right, so again, I start with the biggest exponent. Biggest exponent is x to the 3rd. So I would have 3x to the 3rd and 2x to the 3rd. They're both positive. Put them together. That's 5x to the 3rd. Add the coefficients, keep the power the same. Then x to the 2nd. X to the 2nd, I have 2 and 5. So that gives me 7x squared. Add the coefficients, keep the power the same. Those are done. X terms, I only have one x term here, so it's just going to stay by itself. Negative 3x. That's done. And negative 12 minus 6. They're both negative. Since they're both negative, I add them together, and that's minus 18. So there's my standard form there. And number 4. In number 4, we put our like terms together, x to the 3rd, x to the 3rd, 4 plus 5 gives me 9, that's 9x to the 3rd. Oh, I skipped one, sorry. X to the 5th should actually be in front of that. That x to the 5th has a larger exponent, so I should put it in front. Negative 2x to the 5th plus 9x to the 3rd. There we go. Then the next power I see is x to the 1st, so here's a negative. Here's a 4, here's a negative 4. So that's negative 1 plus 4, which is 3. 3 minus 4 is negative 1. So negative x, gone, gone, gone. And the constant, negative 2 is by itself. Done with that. And there we have it. Okay, so now let's talk about a couple of different ways that we can actually look at these two, at adding two polynomials together. So you can use two different methods to add them. One method is to add them horizontally like we were just doing. Now if you've got this polynomial plus that polynomial, we just go through and find the like terms like normal. But some people like to look at them vertically. You can take the second polynomial, put it underneath the first polynomial, and then combine your like terms that way. So if I were to line them up, notice, by the way, that my x squared is over my x squared. The x term is over the x term. The constant's over the constant. So you want to make sure that you line up the like terms. Put the like terms one over the top of the other. So if I add vertically here, I get 4 plus 2, which gives me 6x squared, 3 plus 2, which gives me 5x, and negative 2 plus 1, which gives me negative 1. Now it would be the same if I went through and identified them in the polynomial. Okay, so you can do it horizontally or vertically. Let's do a couple examples of looking at them vertically. If I take number 5, I have 3x squared minus 4x plus 8 in the first polynomial plus 2x minus 7x squared minus 5 in the second polynomial. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put it underneath the one in front of it, but I need to line up my like terms. So I need to put this squared term underneath the square term. That's negative 7x squared there. Then I'm going to put the 2x under the x term and the constant under the constant. And then I add them just like we were taught how to add when we were like in first or second grade. This is exactly what the same thing, it's just now we have some variables involved. So when I take a look at this, I have 3 plus negative 7. It's the same as 3 minus 7, negative 4x squared. Combine the coefficients, keep the power the same. Then x terms, negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2x. And constants, 8 minus 5 or 8 plus negative 5 is 3. So negative 4x squared minus 2x plus 3. Let's take a look at number 6. And number 6, if I line these up vertically again, I'm going to take the negative 3x squared and put it under the square term. Oops, negative 3x squared. There we go. Then I take my x term and put it underneath the x. Take the constant, put it underneath the constant. Notice my like terms are lined up. Same variable, same variable, same variable. So I put them together. 5 minus 3 gives me 2. Negative 3 plus 6 gives me 3. And 4 plus negative 3 or 4 minus 3 gives me 1. So 2x squared, oops, I forgot my x there. 2x squared plus 3x plus 1. All right, we're going to go ahead and pause our video at this time. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to hop back to Schoology and take your little Schoology quiz. Have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow.